so different.
Today, Vice President Al Gore steps out of Bill Clinton's shadow and into the fray with a formal campaign announcement. He'll say he's running for president. He makes the announcement in his hometown, and he says he'll be a different kind of president. Good morning, America.
We're here again. It's Wednesday, June 16th, 1999.
Nice to see you all looking so well rested. Good morning. I'm Charles Gibson.
And I'm Diane Sawyer. Well, the battle has been joined this morning. It is the trickiest, of course, moment in politics for a vice president. It's a straddle. How do you distance yourself from a president and yet not appear disloyal, especially a president who handed you an impeachment scandal? Well, recently I sat down with Vice President Gore and his wife Tipper for an exclusive interview we're going to see on this historic day in which they begin to make their case to the American people.
And to get a little perspective on this announcement that's coming today and the campaign to come, we're going to talk with historian Michael Beschloss and also ABC political analyst George Stephanopoulos. It's also a huge day for Congress because the House today begins debating the juvenile crime bill and its extremely volatile gun control measures. We're going to hear from the Justice Department, get a sense of that debate this morning as well.
And we'll also have a review of the new Tarzan movie. We'll get to know royalty's newest in-law to be. Who is Sophie Rees-Jones, this millennial princess? We'll find out, but let's get the news right now from Antonio Mora. Good morning.
Good morning, Diane, and good morning, everyone. Efforts are underway this morning to try to resolve the issue of Russia's role in the Kosovo peacekeeping operation. Defense Secretary William Cohen is in Finland today talking with his Russian counterpart about Russia's occupation of the Pristina airport. Also this morning, more evidence of apparent war crimes. ABC's Bob Woodruff joins us from Pristina. Good morning, Bob. What is this added evidence of possible Serb atrocities?
Good morning, Antonio. Some very, very disturbing pictures coming out of the town of Kolic this morning. The KLA has supplied a videotape that they say shows the result of an alleged Serb massacre of Albanian refugees on April 18th. According to the KLA, the Serbs had demanded money from the refugees. Those who paid lived. Those who did not pay were killed. Now, every day there are more and more of these stories emerging out of Kosovo, and as these peacekeepers start to move into this province, there are sure to be many, many more. Antonio?
Bob, turning back to the standoff with the Russians at the Pristina airport, have there been any developments?
Yes, actually there have. This morning, a Russian convoy, another Russian convoy has come down to the airport, this one carrying food and supplies and fuel to the Russian troops that are already in there. Now, the foreign minister for Russia indicated today he is willing to make a compromise on this. After all, the Russians are holding the ground in there, but the Brits, on the other hand, are controlling the fuel lines and the supply lines into there, so there may be some grounds for compromise this morning.
All right, thanks, Bob. Bob Woodruff at Pristina this morning. The death toll is at least a dozen from yesterday's earthquake in Mexico, centered less than 200 miles southeast of Mexico City. The magnitude was 6.7. The worst damage is in Puebla State, where most of the deaths occurred and where hundreds of people were hurt. Pope John Paul is feeling better this morning. The Pope, who leaves Poland tomorrow, began today with morning mass. Later, he'll meet with workers and pilgrims and visit the town where he was born. His illness, though, has forced him to cancel a planned trip to Armenia on Friday. Gun control is once again taking center stage in Washington. The House is taking up gun control measures today similar to those the Senate passed after a debate heavily influenced by the Columbine High School massacre. For the first time since the shootings, we've had a look inside the school. Here's ABC's Jane Clayson.
The renovation of Columbine High School has begun, but there are still reminders. Throughout the building, bullet holes mark the concrete. There is shrapnel damage in walls and skylights. When SWAT teams swept the building for bombs, they checked and cleared every locker, especially locker number 837, Dylan Klebold's. Architects are trying to change the look and feel of Columbine with new floor tile, new furniture, different colored paint. Even the tone of the fire alarm has been changed, so students will never again hear the sound that rang through the halls that day. When Columbine opens this August, so much will be different, except the library, which is still considered a crime scene.
We will open this school without a library. We may have a temporary library set up outside.
In classrooms, In the cafeteria, there is still evidence of the innocence that once existed here. The $5 million renovation of Columbine is part of a school's and a community's determination not to let this building become a permanent memorial. Jane Clayson, ABC News, Los Angeles.
The Columbine massacre is sure to be mentioned in the House gun control debate now getting underway. Here's ABC's Linda Douglas.
As the House heads into what may be a raging debate on gun control, the point man for the National Rifle Association is not a Republican, but a Democrat, Michigan's John Dingell.
I work with any citizens group that can present a worthwhile and a justifiable case.
Dingell, a former NRA board member, has persuaded as many as 50 Democrats to join him to weaken the White House's gun control proposals. President Clinton pleaded with others not to defect.
I want us to honor the sacrifices of those people in Littleton, Colorado, not turn our backs on them.
In addition to grappling with gun control, the House will also debate separate legislation to fight juvenile crime. Republicans will try to add provisions focusing on culture, banning the sale of explicitly violent books and movies to minors, and allowing schools to post the Ten Commandments and permit voluntary prayer. But none of these issues breaks down cleanly along party lines. Both Democrats and Republicans say they still don't know what, if anything, will pass. For Good Morning America, I'm Linda Douglas on Capitol Hill.
And that's the news at 6 minutes after the hour. And now it's time for the weather and Tony Perkins. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning to you, Antonio. Good morning, everybody. We are keeping our eyes on Tropical Storm Arlene this morning. It continues to track west-northwest. It's about 195 miles southeast now of Bermuda. Maximum sustained winds 60 miles an hour, posing a threat to Bermuda. Shows some signs of weakening a little bit, becoming a little unstable, but still the tropical storm force winds will be impacting Bermuda probably during the next 24 hours. We'll keep our eyes on that. For the weather for the nation out to the west, warm conditions. We could see rain showers in the northern Rockies. We'll continue to see some rains in the southeastern part of the United States, where we've seen some flooding in parts of South Carolina. Mild conditions for the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic. That's a quick look at what's happening around the nation. Now here's what's happening in your neighborhood.
It was a rather gray start outside, some rain, and there's what you're looking at and probably will be seeing all day long. Skyscan 13, courtesy of the folks at Lester Carpet Hills. A little bit of fog in places. I don't think that's going to be a major problem. Temperatures, for the most part, in the 60s. It's a comfortable start. Air quality is good. Code green today, no problem with ground level ozone, and we will continue to watch this train of rain coming up here from the southwest. Mostly light rain off and on during the course of the day, so take the umbrella. Probably make the low 70s in the mountains, the upstate around 76 today.
That's a quick look at the weather. We'll have more for you in just a little bit. Back to you, Diane.
Thank you, Tony. Well, Vice President Gore's announcement this morning in his hometown of Carthage, Tennessee, makes his presidential campaign official. I sat down with the Vice President and his wife, Tipper, recently to talk about this historic day, an interview you'll see here and in spirited depth tonight on 2020. But even before today, the Vice President has had two big problems in this campaign. On the outside, Republican George W. Bush garnering a lot of attention. And on the inside, his own boss, President Bill Clinton, who not long ago phoned a New York Times reporter to say that he had been telling the Vice President to loosen up and do something about his sluggish campaign. When you got up in the morning and opened the newspaper on Friday, May 14th, and read, Clinton admits to concerns as Gore campaign stumbles.
Yes. He was trying to help. He was trying to help. And listen, after 7 years in this job, all four of us have had so many occasions where headlines come out in a way that we wouldn't want them to come out.
Mr. Vice President, you want me to believe you opened that, read that, and said, he's trying to help. He's just...
Well, I knew that he was trying to help.
Is there a family-friendly word that you used when you read this?
Well, you know, I think that he probably had the same reaction.
You were mad.
Well, I don't have to tell you when I'm mad.
Is he right that he personally coached you to appear less rigid, to shed your blue suit? Just so it didn't work, did it? He's in fighting shape. He's lost nearly 20 pounds by the looks of it, though he won't say. And at the corner cafe in town where there's plenty of Southern cooking, he's not even indulging in a chicken wing. Here in the small farm town of Carthage, Tennessee, we looked at the river where he used to swim. We saw the car his late father, a senator, used to drive until the age of 89.
One of my neighbors said, "Oh, Al, don't worry. We all know what his car looks like, and we just get off the road when we see him coming."
This is the place he and Tipper Gore called home when he came back from Vietnam to be a journalist, law student, divinity student, and then head into politics. But skeptics have always questioned whether Gore is a country boy. Here we are in Carthage. Are you really a country boy?
I grew up in two places. I grew up in Washington, D.C., and I grew up here. My happiest, most vivid memories were here.
When we first met and before we married, he said to me, "I want you to come to my home." And he showed me all over his farm and told me about growing up here.
You mucked pig pens?
I cleaned out pig pens, yes I did, and raised cattle and showed them in the fairs around here.
All right, my cousins are all tobacco farmers and cattle farmers. So, I have a test for you. Ready for pop quiz? How many plants of tobacco can you have per acre?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I'll flunk that test.
What is brucellosis?
I know that they're 5 to 7 on a stick when you put them in the barn.
And what are cattle prices roughly now?
Too low.
Brucellosis.
Oh, that's hoof and mouth disease.
Not confined to cattle.
All told, he got 2 out of 4. Not bad. And when you're alone with him, he's a very different person from the man mocked in jokes as stiff and boring.
Have you heard Al Gore's new campaign slogan, Al Gore, just a heartbeat away from having a heartbeat? I don't know if you have it.
George W. Bush has said he had wild man periods in his life, and he learned a lot from it. Did you have a wild man day?
A minute.
What he is a son taught to be polite and loyal by formidable parents. His mother was one of the first women to graduate from law school. And now the loyal son has to face his political parentage and decide if, for political survival, it's time for him to strike out on his own. You were a journalist once. Write me a headline for the difference between President Clinton and President Gore.
Well, any two people are different.
And the biggest difference is?
Well, we've had different experiences, different upbringing, different approaches to a lot of things. We have both seen the importance of governing from the center, of trying to base policies on common sense and what works, of focusing on prosperity and using it to solve problems.
I'm not going to get my headline,
well, okay, here's the headline, New Era, New Leadership.
Well, the Clintons, Bill and Hillary, have certainly cast a long shadow. Can the vice president emerge from it and claim his own presidential identity? Presidential historian Michael Beschloss joins us this morning from Denver. Good morning to you, Michael, and ABC News political analyst George Stephanopoulos right here with me. You should know, by the way, that the vice president talks a lot tonight about revolutionary change. Revolutionary change. Michael, does anyone buy it when a vice president says, I'm different from the man I worked with for all those years? Does it work?
It usually doesn't work. It's very tough because this is the problem of this office. You were talking about the vice presidential straddle, Diane. This guy has to show that, yes, he was very loyal, almost blindly loyal for 7 years, and now show that he's going to be a very different commanding figure. And, you know, these dramas in recent history are not very promising. Nixon in 1960 trying to, perhaps against his own interest, show that he was a different person from Eisenhower. In 1968, Hubert Humphrey tried to separate himself from Lyndon Johnson on Vietnam, and I don't know any family-friendly language to convey what Johnson said to him, but he said, you get away from me on Vietnam, I'll dry up all your campaign money. And even in 1988, when George Bush did something as mild as say, I'll give you a kinder, gentler America, you'll remember Nancy Reagan went ballistic, and it really cooled relations between Ronald Reagan and his vice president.
Well, let me turn to George, because what I said is true. The vice president in private, as we know, is really funny and
very dry,
fast, very dry, and very spontaneous, very easy. What do you think the surprises are going to be when he starts to emerge in his own campaign, or will there be any?
Well, I think that the real vice president, one of them can be some humor, there's no question about that, but more a toughness. You know, when he's at his best, he's very persistent and almost on the edge of mean.
So,
and in a weird way, that might help him. You know, to pick up on something else Michael said, though, you know, you're talking about George Bush and kinder, gentler. He didn't say that until the convention, which is just 3 months before the election. Tonight, on the day he's announcing for president, a vice president is calling his president's behavior inexcusable. That has never happened before in American history.
Well, you bring us to the next point, because tonight he does just that. We talk about the presidential scandal, and George W. Bush, as we know, has already laid down a marker and said he's going to bring dignity to the White House, which seemed to be the key word. We're going to give you an excerpt of just one of many things the vice president says tonight about this year of presidential scandal.
An intern in the White House, in the Oval Office. Did it outrage you?
Well, I've said previously, and I'll repeat to you, I think that what he did was inexcusable. If you've ever had a friend who disappointed you, and you worked with that person, and you rebuilt the relationship, and moved forward from the disappointment, that's exactly what that was like for me.
Why do you choose the word disappointed instead of horrified?
Well, I use the word inexcusable. I use the word awful, terrible, horrible. You know, the man is a friend of mine, and we have a close working relationship, and he's gone through a lot in this. His family has gone through a lot. I do believe that it should be placed in a larger context within which it is balanced against the good things he has done as president.
Well, Michael, what about this? At this point, does Bill Clinton campaign for him or not? Do they go their separate ways starting today?
Well, it's going to be very tricky, because even if Bill Clinton does not campaign for him, Bill Clinton wants to spend the next period of time burnishing his legacy, so he's going to be out there. And also, as George well knows, President Clinton is not a shrinking violet. He's sort of like Theodore Roosevelt was once said. It was once said that he had to be the bride at every wedding and the corpse at every funeral. It's hard to imagine Bill Clinton really taking a back seat in order to help his vice president, and also his wife if she runs for the Senate from New York. So this is going to be a very tricky dance.
What about that senatorial race, George? The vice president's staff cannot be happy about this, right?
I don't see how they could be, because, as you know, you see the vice president is trying to separate himself a bit from the president's personal problems. With Mrs. Clinton out there running for Senate, she's a big reminder that the Clintons are here to stay when the country is saying we're a little tired of them.
And do you think that the president will be out there campaigning, or what will happen to this legendary personal relationship?
He can't help himself, and I think that he really, more than anything else, he wants the vice president to win, because that will help the president's legacy. But you're going to see the separation between the two parties in a way. In other ways, you know, Ronald Reagan's slogan in 1980 was, "Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago?" What you're going to hear from Vice President Gore over the course of the campaign is, "Are we better now than we were 4 years ago?" That's his way of accepting the economic progress over the last 4 years, but saying at the same time that's not enough. And I'm going to be a different kind, a better man.
Well, again, I thank you both, Michael Beschloss and George Stephanopoulos. And the Vice President talks tonight on 2020 about Hillary Clinton's campaign and how he really, really feels about it. Or at least I asked
Could
that.
you tell how he felt?
I'll let you watch and see. And a lot more tonight on 2020. Good Morning America continues now. It's 19 past.
9 out of 10 of us will need blood at some point in our lives. It could be your child, your friend, or even you. And what if there wasn't enough? On July 1st, you can help save a life by donating blood in your community. Take part in the 12th annual WLOS Operation Blood Drive, because the need for blood never takes a holiday. Give blood today and save a life tomorrow. A 13 WLOS gift program sponsored by Arby's, Asheville Savings Bank, and News 13 WLOS.
Is that your doggy? Come on, little puppy. Come on, little doggy. Come to Mama, puppy. Come on, puppy, puppy, puppy. Oh!
Warning, objects may appear smaller once you've tried our burgers. Denny's Colossal Major League Burgers. Starting at $3.99. Good food and lots of it.
You can try out Zoob at Denny's. Hey, you can even buy it for $3.99. And while you're here, you can check out our great kids menu.
It's the ultimate in modern living. A beautiful blend of environment and tradition. High Vista Falls, combining convenience and quality lifestyle. Country club elegance surrounded by country splendor. With a brand new clubhouse open for your dining and dancing pleasure. With pool, tennis, and improved golf course now in progress. Home sites, patio homes, and townhomes now available. High Vista Falls, nestled between Asheville and Hendersonville.
Summer's the best time to get out and see the sights. And you can really get out there this year with the Jeep Summer of Fun going on now. Head for the sun in a new Cherokee Sport for $0 down and $279 a month with just $279 due at signing. Or take off in a new Wrangler, now starting at under 15 grand. But the Summer of Fun is only for a limited time. So see your Jeep dealer today before these incredible deals are just another memory.
In our next half hour, the firefight on Capitol Hill over the juvenile crime bill. We're going to talk up the House taking up gun control.
And we've been addressing the question of severe shyness this week, social anxiety. Do drugs really make a difference? We'll see a before and after.
And Sophie Rees-Jones, this woman marrying into the royal family. Can anyone fit into the royal family? The Queen seems to like her.
The Queen seems to like her, and as we'll tell you, she comes from a remarkably middle-class background for a princess-to-be. But maybe that's going to give her some solidity, stability.
We'll be back.
Taz! Looks like Taz just got his AT&T phone bill. Taz, don't you make a lot of calls on Sunday?
Yeah, Taz call.
Then use MCI 5-cent Sundays. It's just 5 cents a minute every Sunday. AT&T charges twice as much. Taz, let's call 1-800-SUNDAY. Become an MCI customer.
Bounty introduces new designs. There's new fun prints. Vivid, vibrant. And new home decor prints for contemporary kitchens. They're the more modern quilted Quicker Pick You-Upper. Cheerful, playful, to brighten up your home.
The quilted Quicker Pick You-Upper.
New Bounty home decor and fun prints.
All the snuggle fabric softener in the world.
Won't get rid of his wrinkles.
But come laundry day, it can sure help reduce some of yours.
You'll see.
Double your sentiment, your merriment, double your moment of fun. Oh, double your pleasure, double your fun. That's the secret of the great mint in Double Mint Gum.
I can find a smarter way through the thickest traffic. Book a flight almost anywhere. And have a reservation waiting at the finest hotel. I have the only luxury SUV with the executive assistance of OnStar Standard.
OnStar, can I help you?
With my Escalade, there are no roadblocks.
Escalade, it's good to be the Cadillac.
Hey, where can I freshen up?
Clairol Herbal Essences is changing shampooing from a chore to an all-out joy.
Yes! 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 my car ready?
It'll be a little while longer.
Herbal Essences, a totally organic experience.
Now, from Western North Carolina's news leader, this is News 13 This Morning.
Well, good morning. It is 7:25. I'm Mimi Page. Let's look outside with our SkyScan 13 live camera, courtesy of Lester Carpet Sales. Surprised there aren't any little raindrops on the camera lens because there are some scattered showers out there. And Bob will have your complete wet forecast in just a moment. A big rock slide is causing some problems on the Blue Ridge Parkway. Yesterday, a huge slice of mountain came tumbling down at mile marker 339. That's near Crabtree Meadows in Mitchell County. Rangers say the pile of rubble blocking the scenic highway is 30 feet high and 50 feet wide. One rock alone is the size of a 3,000 square foot house. Rangers call it one of the worst rock slides they've ever seen, and the road will be closed for a while.
We've had some on Mount Mitchell, which was a lot of debris and trees and stuff during the winter months. This is all rock, which will mean a lot harder to remove.
Right now, the parkway is shut down from Crabtree Meadows to Little Switzerland. Federal highway engineers will be called in to assess the damage, but until then, rangers have no idea when the road will reopen. From a closed road to toll roads. Is North Carolina going to add toll highways to the state? Well, lawmakers are considering it. They're meeting with a private toll road developer who wants to work on 3 or 4 projects across the state. He says his system could relieve traffic congestion. If it's approved, his company would buy the land, build the roads, and operate the tolls without taxpayer money. An Asheville man arrested for impersonating an officer says he's being misunderstood and wants to set the record straight. Police arrested Ryan McKenzie last week when they found him in his truck with a weapon and blue lights flashing. But McKenzie says he's no blue light bandit. He was a volunteer with the Asheville Police Department's Citizens on Patrol program. Police say he just took his responsibilities too far.
I just wanted to be a part of the community, to be out there to deter crime. And that was it. That was all my fault right there, is that I got involved and tried to do good. And now I'm looking at 2 years prison.
He says he had no idea civilians with blue lights in their cars are breaking the law in North Carolina. He says he was trying to get deputies' attention with the lights. Asheville police have arrested 2 people in connection with recent assaults in the city, and they say they plan to make at least 1 more arrest. Yesterday at 6, we told you about a case involving an off-duty corrections officer who was trying to help someone he thought was being attacked, and then he ended up being a victim.
He reached in and grabbed the tag number out of my hand, and at the same time, I grabbed his wrist, and the other guy blindsided me and busted my nose.
Police arrested 16-year-old Brandon Wayne Wilson and 17-year-old Wallace Robinson on assault charges. They're also facing charges in connection with an assault at the Biltmore Square Mall last week. We'll take a quick break, and Bob will have your forecast next.
The next best thing to a new car is an almost new car. Hi, I'm Jake Lowe. Anton just received a special purchase of fully equipped, low-mileage 99 models priced thousands below retail. Like this 99 Cavalier for only $199 a month, Luminous for only $14,990 and financing as low as 6.9%, and this Chevy Blazer for only $15,990. So if you don't mind a new car with a few miles, we can save you a few $1,000s right now, only at Anton Chevy Olds Buick in Pontiac 2 on I-40 at the Canton exit.
When you have it your way, it just tastes better.
Bit of rain showers over the area this morning. Much needed rain, the right kind. Temperature's not really changing. Air quality is code green today. Good. No problem with ground level ozone. Pressure at 3001, rising very slowly. No wind to speak of. 100% relative humidity and a little patch of fog here, there, and about. Tropical storm Arlene, a minimal storm still drifting west-northwesterly about 5 miles per hour near Bermuda. And we'll watch that over the next several days and see what happens with it. In the meantime, we are watching these continuing showers coming right up through from the southwest over northern Alabama into the mountains, the upstate, the foothills. That will continue off and on through the day. I don't think we're going to see any sunshine today. I don't have a problem with that because temperatures are going to be comfortable, about 72 in the mountains, 74 in the foothills with rain showers. Tonight, some showers remaining. Tomorrow, maybe some sun by the afternoon with a high near 74. Looking good into the weekend.
Good morning again. I'm Diane Sawyer.
And I'm Charles Gibson again, and we're glad you're with us. So this is going to be high noon to some extent on Capitol Hill today, particularly on the House side of the Capitol. In the wake of all the youth violence in Littleton, Colorado, Conyers, Georgia, so many other towns, the House today will finally take up the juvenile crime bill. Now, that's the bill, you may recall, that squeaked by in the Senate last month and had new gun control measures. And it's a very controversial bill in the House. Will members vote for or against background checks at gun shows, or have those background checks been so weakened that they really don't mean anything? Both sides are feeling heat on this issue, and we're going to get the view in this half hour of the Justice Department. The Justice Department obviously involved in enforcing gun control laws in this country. How do people at the Justice Department feel about the debate about to take place in the House? We'll talk to the Deputy Attorney General Eric Holder.
Also coming up, we're going to hear from our science editor, Michael Gillen. He has some surprises about why there is a growing need for one particular kind of organ donation, brains, for research.
All right. Later, entertainment editor Joel Siegel. I didn't say that very well. Entertainment editor Joel Siegel.
You could get a new brain and we could start all over again.
No, I just need a new mouth to make that work. Anyway, Joel Siegel will be here with his review of the animated Tarzan that is coming out this weekend. And then we're going to talk about who is this woman about to enter Britain's royal family. Going to find out more about Sophie Rhys-Jones. She has a very intriguing background and not the kind of person you might expect to be marrying into the royal family. But first, the rest of the news. Antonio Mora, the headlines of the morning.
Thanks, Charlie, and good morning, everyone. Search teams have found more victims of yesterday's big earthquake in Mexico. The death toll is now at least 12, with hundreds hurt, most of them in Puebla State. The quake had a magnitude of 6.7. Another Russian military convoy arrived at the airport in Kosovo's capital this morning. Defense Secretary William Cohen and his Russian counterpart are meeting in Finland to try to resolve the standoff over that airport. Meanwhile, NATO troops in Kosovo are finding more evidence of possible war crimes. This home video shot by the KLA shows the site of one alleged massacre. The KLA claims the Serbs killed 54 people there. The widow of Owen Hart, the wrestler killed in a fall last month, is suing the World Wrestling Federation. She says the harness he was wearing when he tried to descend from the ceiling was a makeshift contraption that was never meant to hold a 230-pound man. Women who have had hysterectomies often experience sexual dysfunction, but a new small study finds that a testosterone-laced skin patch may increase their sex drive. However, researchers warn that the patch should not be viewed as a Viagra for women, and more study is needed. And finally, the coach with the highest winning percentage in NBA history, Phil Jackson, is being lured to a team that hasn't won a title in 11 years. The Los Angeles Lakers say they have a deal in principle with Jackson. The former Chicago Bulls coach will reportedly get $24 million over 4 years. That's the news at 33 after. Tony, you chose the wrong career, I'm telling you. We both did.
I've been told that by many people, as a matter of fact. Thank you, Antonio. Good morning to you, and good morning, everybody. We're knocking on the door of summertime. We want to talk about record low temperatures that we saw yesterday. Grand Forks, North Dakota, 37 degrees for a record low. Dubuque, Iowa, 44 degrees yesterday. Take a look at Flint, Michigan. They hit 41 degrees yesterday. Motown, 46 degrees yesterday. Take a look at the map for today across the nation. We'll show you how things are going to be shaping up. We will continue to see some rain showers in the southeastern part of the United States. I think we'll see some thunderstorm activity along the Gulf and in Florida. There's a possibility there. Very nice day. Northeast and mid-Atlantic, not bad at all. Out to the west, some rains in the Pacific Northwest, into the Rockies, into the central and southern plains as well. Normal temperatures for the desert Southwest, high near 100. That's a quick look at what's happening around the nation. Here's what's happening in your neighborhood.
Well, we'll take a Lester Carpet Sales look across the horizon. Layered clouds out there this morning. Not much lift in the atmosphere. Don't expect any thunderstorms, but light scattered rain will continue throughout the day. Probably reaching around 72 today in the mountains. The foothills areas, probably 74 degrees or so.
And this weather report has been brought to you by Roundup. Remember, you can email your thoughts on the topics you see this morning on the GMA page at abcnews.com. Charlie?
All right, thanks very much, Tony. As the House begins debate today on the new juvenile crime bill, the battle lines on the explosive issue of gun control are being drawn. And interestingly enough, they're really not falling along traditional party lines, as we will talk about in just a moment. Now, if gun control measures pass in the House, in whatever form, the question is, are they really going to work to keep weapons away from kids? We want to show you again some extraordinary pictures that we showed the president during our broadcast from the White House about 2 weeks ago. Now, the boy you're seeing pulling guns out of his pockets looks just so normally dressed is Chris Dorn, a 15-year-old from Bibb County, Georgia, whose father is the chief of campus police there. They do this demonstration frequently to show how easy it is to smuggle guns into schools. As I say, he looked so normally dressed, but look how many guns he actually has on him. "12 guns in all he had in his clothes, and when you first looked at him, I suspect you didn't think he had any." Joining us now from Washington is Eric Holder, the Deputy U.S. Attorney General. Good to have you with us again.
Good morning.
Let me ask you about this bill, and I want to get really the Justice Department's view of it. As it is shaping up in the House, and there are an awful lot of votes yet to come, is it shaping up as an effective gun control measure?
Yeah, I think the history has shown us that the Brady law that has been in effect since 1994 has been an extremely effective piece of legislation, and all we want to do is expand it to cover those things that are not now covered. Gun shows, for instance. If you look at what has happened in the past 5 years, 400,000 people who should not have gotten guns have been prevented from getting guns. 67% of those people are people who are under indictment or who have prior felony convictions. This is a very logical, common-sense piece of legislation that needs to be expanded in a very logical, common-sense way.
But the Senate bill that's already been passed does extend it to gun shows and would have background checks on people buying guns at gun shows. But there are critics who say that the House has weakened this, that there is a critical amendment to come that would make the period of time for a background check so short that it really wouldn't catch anyone. There are also people who are saying that this bill redefines gun shows in such a way that it really won't call for background checks on people who buy guns at gun shows. In other words, that the House is on its way to gutting the bill.
That is a very real concern for us in law enforcement. What the Senate did was very reasonable, very courageous in a lot of ways, and I think is going to prove to be very effective. What the House is potentially going to do is to unravel, to gut that which the Senate has done, and put at risk the children of this nation, and beyond that, law enforcement officers who have the people who frequently have these illegal guns trained upon them.
So it sounds to me that you're saying the Justice Department is worried about where the House is going.
We're extremely concerned about where the House might be going. The legislation that is being introduced that would in fact amend what the Senate has done could have the effect of reversing the progress that we've made, the very substantial progress that we've made over the past 5 years, and that's why over the next few hours, over the next 24 hours, we'll be out there lobbying, talking to people to make them aware of the fact that what they're potentially doing is great harm to the nation.
There are people who say that the NRA has written significant portions of what the House is about to pass.
Well, I mean, that's certainly what I hear. I'm not sure who the author is of these proposals, but I do know that these proposals are not good ones. They are ones that are going to have negative effects on the real progress that we have made. We have seen a significant reduction in gun violence over the past 7 years. We're putting that progress at risk, and members of Congress have to ask themselves, why would we want to do that?
Eric Holder, there's a lot of political points that are made in debates on gun control. But you're in a situation where you have a Democratic administration in Washington, and it may be Democrats who will provide the marginal votes that will weaken gun control in the House. It is John Dingell of Michigan, a Democrat, who is leading the forces proposing this amendment that would significantly weaken what the Senate passed.
Yeah, this is not a vote that I would appeal to members of Congress on the basis of party lines. I would ask for people to not weaken this gun control legislation on the basis, on behalf of the American people. We have seen children whose lives have been saved. We've seen police officers whose lives have been saved. We've seen 400,000 people who should not have gotten guns, who have not gotten guns over the past 5 years. And if this legislation, if these amendments are passed, we're going to see that progress reversed. But it's not a partisan issue. It's an issue for the American people.
What is the most critical issue, the most critical vote, really, that's going to come in the House as far as the Justice Department is concerned?
Well, I think there are a whole series of them. The Dingell bill that would shorten the waiting period to 24 hours, I think, could have a very negative effect. It would, in essence, give us 24 hours to do the background checks, and if the background check is not complete at that point, the person would simply get the gun. Most of the checks that we do are done within a number of minutes. 95% of them are done within a matter of a couple of hours. But if we go beyond that, we'd have the potential of giving guns to people who have felony convictions, people who have mental problems, people who have domestic violence, restraining orders against them at the end of a 24-hour period. So that is, I think, a very crucial one that should be defeated.
All of which to be played out in the House over the next 2 days. Eric Holder, I appreciate you joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good Morning America continues. Stay with us.
You still there, Hank? Yeah, kid. They sprayed us good, huh? Yeah, good. Oh, I never thought we'd get sprayed in the garden. But we'll be okay, huh? I mean, we've been sprayed before, huh, Hank? Sure, kid. But I gotta tell you, my roots hurt real bad. Hank, whoever did this is gonna pay. Hank, they're gonna pay big. Hank!
Roundup kills weeds where others can't. Roundup, no root, no weed, no problem.
Father, daughter, conservative, liberal, Rachmaninoff, rock and roll, practical, not. What brings them to the table? Introducing Honey Nut Chex, a delicious new taste, an amazing new crunch. If they could share this family value, what next? Maybe conversation? Maybe after breakfast. New Honey Nut Chex. Welcome to Generation Chex.
Question. How do dermatologists visibly reduce the appearance of wrinkles and fine lines caused by the sun? With Neutrogena Anti-Wrinkle Cream. With retinol, the purest form of vitamin A, to work deeper within the skin surface, reducing the appearance of wrinkles. Neutrogena Anti-Wrinkle Cream.
For that kid called Dad. The Red Hot Torch and Roaster, otherwise known as the Kenmore Gas Grill. Bells, whistles, fire. Just $149.99, fully assembled. Dad, he's still a kid, and Sears Dad's Day sale is his ultimate playground.
All right, Friskies, who's up for some breakfast? Relax, kid, you're not on the menu. Now here's the good stuff. Love that taste. Friskies.
Got milk?
Well, that's a silly question.
If you've already got milk, get out the Hershey syrup.
See, now this commercial I like. Oh, yeah.
The biggest sport utility on the market, Suburban by GMC. Seats up to 9 adults with room for over 149 cubic feet of cargo. Tows up to 5 tons of boat or trailer. GMC Suburban. For passenger and cargo space. For power with luxurious comforts. Your GMC dealers have excellent selections of new 1999 Suburbans in stock now. If you want to supersize your sport utility, choose GMC Suburban. See your Carolina GMC dealer.
Can I get a bite of that Subway foot-long sandwich?
No.
Hey!
Big appetite? Go to Subway. Our footlongs are meals in themselves. They're bigger than any burger. Subway, the way a really big sandwich should be.
Want a really good sandwich? Try Subway's Turkey Bacon Deluxe. Fresh baked bread, loads of oven-roasted turkey breast, sizzling strips of bacon, and all the fresh veggies you want. Turkey Bacon Deluxe. Get one today. Subway, the way a sandwich should be.
We hear a lot about the shortage of organ donations, kidneys, hearts, eyes, for example. And just yesterday, we told you about a liver donor, a complete stranger who decided to help out someone he'd seen on TV. But it turns out that there is also a great demand for brains, not for transplanting, but for research. So what can science learn if we give away our brains? Our science editor, Michael Gillen, reports.
Nancy McGuire's mom passed away 2 years ago, but she still remembers her generous spirit and her troubled mind. Like 2 million other Americans, Nancy's mom was manic depressive.
She was either somewhere high, one time she might have thought that she was the Virgin Mary, and another time she wouldn't be able to move from the couch.
Nancy also remembers the day her mom decided to donate her brain to science in hopes of helping researchers figure out what causes manic depression.
My mom explained, you know, I'm going to be gone, so if somebody else needs something that I have, why not share it?
Well, this is our tissue archive, which we have over 4,500 different brain specimens.
When Nancy's mom died, her brain came here to the world's largest brain bank, run by Harvard University just outside of Boston. The human brain only weighs about 2.5 pounds, but it's as vast and unknown to us as the ocean, says Associate Director Stephen Vincent.
We know lots about little things about it, but in terms of how it works in totality, it's still a complete mystery.
With today's boom in brain research, these donated brains don't stay on the shelves very long. From here, they're carefully sliced and then shipped to neuroscientists worldwide.
You know, even just discussing this, it sounds ghoulish. Removing somebody's kidney or liver, it's one thing, but to remove somebody's brain, why should I donate my brain? Well, because in a way, the dead teach the living. And because of that, there is life that springs from a donation for research.
With the study of living brains using PET scans and MRIs, scientists are relegated to being on the outside looking in. But with the study of deceased brains, scientists can actually handle and inspect brain tissue up close. As a result, thanks to donated brains, scientists recently discovered the gene that causes Huntington's disease. They also discovered that compared to a normal brain, which you can see here, the brain of an Alzheimer's patient literally shrivels and shrinks. Not a pretty sight. And as for the manic-depressive brains, like Nancy McGuire's mom,
you can see it looks very much like the normal. So what is it that's causing the manic-depressive brain to be abnormal? Well, in this case, manic depression, the root of it is really at the level of chemistry and circuitry. That is how the brain is wired up, how it's all interconnected. So do we understand any of that yet? Not completely. In fact, we're only just starting to scratch the surface.
Nancy, for one, hopes the mystery will be solved soon. Not only her mom, but now her husband has been diagnosed with manic depression. And since it's genetic, that puts their 9-year-old son, Kevin, at risk. For that reason, Nancy has decided to donate her brain to science when she dies.
If there's anything that I can give my child, it's a healthy future for him and his children and grandchildren.
By comparing relatively healthy brains like hers to diseased brains like her mom's, Nancy hopes to help scientists find the path that finally leads to a cure for mental illness.
News from our science editor, Michael Gillen. And Good Morning America will be back after this.
Let me tell you a story about Mark's favorite hat.
When are you going to get rid of that ratty old hat?
Never.
No!
We gotta go back and get it.
No way.
Cut to the chase in their four-wheel drive Ford Explorer Sport.
Right there! It's right there!
Hello?
Ford Explorer Sport.
Cool.
Built Ford tough.
Why was she murdered?
The General's Daughter is the best murder mystery in years.
This is my investigation.
An intelligent, grown-up suspense thriller.
How scared are you right now?
It will keep you on the edge of your seat and guessing until the surprising, explosive ending.
Don't mess with me, Colonel.
John Travolta is brilliant. This is an Oscar-caliber performance.
There's a direct connection, isn't there?
When you find that out, then you'll know everything, won't you? John Travolta, The General's Daughter, rated R. This Friday, everywhere.
If you're one of the 36 million people who wear dentures, this is big. Polident Overnight, now with PolyShield, cleans tough stains overnight, then forms an invisible barrier to keep you feeling fresh all day.
For each doubt, confidence. For each struggle, relief. For each child, success. If your child needs help with school, call Sylvan Learning Center at 1-800-EDUCATE. One call can help your child succeed.
My neighbor works a Post on a cereal that actually keeps kids quiet. It's got brown sugar inside, frosting outside. Post frosted shredded wheat.
Oh, man! Hi, Roger.
Heard you're out.
Flags Whitewater. It's a cool world.
Now, Whitewater, the South's largest water park, is a Six Flags park. Don't miss the cliffhanger 90-foot free fall and Runaway River. Plus, a new toddlers area.
It's a cool world. Six Flags Whitewater. Cool world. Whitewater now.
For special Whitewater room rates at the Northwest Atlanta Hilton, call the number on your screen.
Here, kitty, 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 kitty. The new Silverado interior is so big, there's plenty of room for seating. And, in a pinch...
Mommy said I could ride the pony.
Ample room for sleeping. Introducing Silverado, the truck from Chevrolet.
Like a rock. Oh, like a rock.
We're going to tell you about what we have coming up in the next couple of days, and you have to do it. No, where are we? Because I don't know where we are.
Tomorrow we're going to go straight to the source about what really is the hottest political copy in the country. I mean, Washington is really abuzz about the fact that there's a new book by Washington Post reporter Bob Woodward. It's called Shadow, 5 Presidents and the Legacy of Watergate, and it's going to be his first television interview on the book. The excerpts alone really have generated an enormous blitz since they've been published in the Washington Post, because you learn about Clinton's White House during really the darkest days of the Lewinsky scandal and the other investigations that have haunted both the president and the first lady. And so we'll talk to Bob Woodward about how he really got tremendous access to the most private players and details of all the scandals, not only in the Clinton presidency, but others as well. Find out which president he thinks handled the scandal better.
Are you finished?
I am. I've just been rambling on. Well, you wanted me to...
Bob Woodward, and I would have said, oh, yes, Bob Woodward.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I thought you wanted to sort of hand it off.
It is going to be his first morning television
interview. Give me an opportunity, and I won't shut up.
And it isn't, as always with him, it's surprising, and it fills in a lot of wonderful detail about what may have gone on inside the White House. And coming up on Friday, Motown is back. The Temptations will be here.
Get ready for them. We'll be back.
Can he lie to you? Have the nerve to say
It's the look on their faces every morning that tells you what you give them is so important. It's why we created new Sunrise Organic Cereal. 100% certified organic grains, touched with pure golden honey. It's a delicious way to get your family off to a healthy, happy start. New Sunrise, the first organic cereal from General Mills. Sunrise, start the day off bright.
Sam's my first child, and it seems everybody's an expert on raising him. It's confusing. Like, when to get rid of that blanket he drags everywhere. By the end of the day, I cringe when I think about what's crawling on it. Ew.
Finally, there's a detergent that does more than clean. It sanitizes. New Tide with Bleach, the only detergent that kills 99.9% of bacteria.
As long as he gets rid of it before he goes to the prom.
Do you dare to be there? Everywhere? Can you expose your toes? Or do you hide them because of embarrassing nail fungus that turns nails' colors, makes them thick or brittle? Well, now you can discover how it's possible to get healthier, more beautiful nails back. By calling this number, you'll receive a free video and learn about effective oral treatments your doctor has. This year, learn how to lose those shoes and love it. Then dare to be bare, because fungus-free nails are a bare necessity.
Tweety, I really don't think you guys are relatives.
I do.
MCI 5 Cent Sundays helps me keep up with my Space Jam buddies. He doesn't even have feathers.
But we have the same last name.
It's just 5 cents a minute, every Sunday, and get 10 cents a minute all week long. But just because he's Larry Bird and you're Tweety Bird doesn't mean you're related.
I don't know. We look an awful lot alike.
Call 1-800-SUNDAY to become an MCI customer.
No need to go out of town for your best deal. At Matthews Ford, you get rebates and low interest rates. Take a look. You can get $1,500 cash back on Escorts and ZX2s plus 0.9% financing, $1,000 cash back on Explorers, and 0.9% financing. We also have Ford Tauruses for $1,000 cash back and 0.9% financing. Remember, at Matthews Ford, you get both the rebates and 0.9% financing. Matthews Ford, the flagship of Ford dealers, 325 Biltmore Avenue.
It's not just about planning. It's about living. It's about offices nearby, where long-term relationships outweigh short-term gains. At Edward Jones, it's never just about investing. It's about knowing you and your dreams.
My every hope, my life, my world, it all begins with a dream.
Edward Jones, investing in you and your dreams.
Good Morning America is brought to you by MCI 5-Cent Sundays.
And coming up today on Good Morning America, extreme shyness, phobias. Can drugs really make a difference? We'll show you before and after.
Also, Tarzan rises again. The Lord of the Apes comes alive in a new animated film. And Joel Siegel will give you his review of the movie. All of this and more. I'm sorry.
Maybe we should start over today. Can we go back to the top where we say Good Morning America again?
Good Morning America. It's June 16th, 1999. No, we did that before.
You're doing the tango and I'm doing a clog dance. I don't know.
Tonight, lead paint and kids. Who should pay for the damage it's caused? Will your state go after the paint industry? Watch ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Tonight, Shirley Jones is back as Drew's girlfriend. Isn't that great?
Well, if by great you mean weird and sort of creepy, then you betcha.
Okay, then take a look at this guy in the studio audience. Ryan's going to do something with him behind this wall that is so disturbing, he may never be the same again. Whose line is it anyway? After the Drew Carey Show. See you tonight on ABC.
Now, from Western North Carolina's news leader, this is News 13 This Morning.
Big slice of mountainside came tumbling down yesterday at mile marker 339 near Crabtree Meadows, a big rock slide on the Blue Ridge Parkway. It is at least 30 feet high and 50 feet wide, and Parkway officials say one of the massive boulders blocking the highway is as big as a 3,000 square foot house. The parkway is shut down from Crabtree Meadows to Little Switzerland, and right now there is no word on when it will reopen. An Asheville man arrested for impersonating an officer says he's misunderstood and wants to set the record straight. Police arrested Ryan McKenzie last week when they found him in his truck with a weapon and blue lights flashing. McKenzie says he's no blue light bandit. He says he had no idea it was illegal for civilians to have blue lights in their cars, and he was just trying to get deputies' attention. Time now for a look at the forecast. Bob's in the Weather Center.
Well, we'll need the rain gear today. We have that lead and gray sky as we had yesterday, and that's going to be around. Lester Carpet Sales look across the mountain, a little bit of fog, clouds, if you will, hugging the ground, and that's going to be around as well. Don't expect much sunshine today. Temperatures in the 60s, very comfortable outside. Air quality, code green, very good, no problem with ground level ozone. And we will continue to watch this training effect of the moisture and the rainfall coming along a stalled frontal system, which puts it right through our area, off and on through the day, probably tonight and tomorrow as well. So the lack of sunshine will allow temperatures to rise very, very slowly, ultimately hitting around 72 maybe today in the mountains, the upstate around 76. Rain showers continuing off and on tonight, I would expect. For the most part, this rain will be light. Maybe some tomorrow morning, I think. By tomorrow afternoon, we'll see a little bit of sunshine with a high near 74, and we're back into the sun, remaining in the 70s right through the weekend.